with intent into the penalty. He shoots for Colombia. Let's
go! They're going to try and close you down. There's that effort early.
Here is the left.
But they're going to team that get into the final third and then.
Well post. James Rodríguez and a tap.
Mexico City, the Estadio Azteca, June 17th, 2026. 80,824 people packed inside this cathedral of football. And before the night was over, this ancient ground had witnessed something it had never seen before. A nation called Uzbekistan playing in a FIFA World Cup for the first time ever. And they nearly made it count. Colombia came in ranked 13th in the world. Copa America holders, returning to the World Cup stage after 4 years of painful absence following their failure to qualify for Qatar. They walked into Mexico City carrying expectations, carrying talent, carrying the electric presence of James Rodríguez as captain and Luis Díaz, Bayern Munich's 49-goal season winger, as their most dangerous weapon. On paper, this was supposed to be straightforward. What they got instead was a fight. From the opening whistle, Colombia asserted themselves. They controlled the ball. They moved it quickly. They pressed Uzbekistan into their own half for long stretches of the first 40 minutes. 56% possession across the full 90. 15 attempts at goal. The numbers paint a picture of dominance. But football is not played in numbers, and for entire passages of this match, Uzbekistan, ranked 50th in the world, coached by the legendary Fabio Cannavaro in their maiden World Cup appearance, looked like they belonged on exactly the same stage as their South American opponents. The first real moment of Colombian danger came in the 32nd minute. Luis Díaz received the ball in the left channel, cut inside onto his stronger foot, and unleashed a drive toward goal that had Yusupov beaten, only for the ball to crash against the post. That hollow, brutal sound of leather on metal rang through the Azteca. It was a warning. Colombia were knocking on the door, and then, 8 minutes later, the door came off its hinges, the 40th minute. And to understand what happened here, you need to slow everything down, because this goal was not built in a second. Díaz received the ball wide on the left, under pressure, with limited options. Any other player in that position checks back, recycles possession, resets. Díaz does not check back. Instead, he reads Daniel Muñoz's run before Muñoz has even committed to it. A run from right back, arriving late into the box with perfect timing, and he releases a diagonal ball that is weighted so precisely it asks Muñoz to do only one thing: finish. And Muñoz, without breaking stride, without taking a touch, reaches out his right leg and hooks a first-time volley out of the air and past goalkeeper Utkir Yusupov. The technique on that finish was extraordinary. The vision on that assist was something else entirely. Colombia won, Uzbekistan 0, and the Azteca shook. Cannavaro made his adjustments at halftime. His side had been outplayed in every measurable way: possession, territory, attempts. But they were still only 1 goal behind, and Cannavaro, a man who won a World Cup as a defender, understood better than most that 1 goal is nothing in this game. He sent his team out differently in the second half, higher, more aggressive, willing to press Colombia in their own half rather than sit back and absorb. And in the 60th minute, that courage produced the most significant moment in the entire history of Uzbek football. Dostonbek Kamdamov, who had come on as a substitute at halftime, chased the ball down the left flank that had no business staying in play. He stretched every sinew in his body to keep it alive, then whipped across to the far post. Eldor Shomurodov, the experienced Serie A striker, met it with a fierce volley that Camilo Vargas saved low to his right. The rebound fell perfectly, and there was Abbosbek Fayzullaev, arriving at a full sprint into the 6-yard box, heading the ball into an open net from close range. 1-1. Uzbekistan had scored their first ever FIFA World Cup goal. Stop. Think about what that means for a moment. A country that had never played a single minute of World Cup football in its entire history. A group of players who grew up with no World Cup tradition to inherit, no generational legacy to follow, no iconic moment to point to and say, that is what we are chasing. They had just equalized against Colombia inside the Estadio Azteca in front of 80,000 people. The few hundred White Wolves supporters scattered across those vast stands lost their minds, and for a brief, electric moment, the unthinkable felt possible. What happened next was Luis Díaz deciding that he had seen enough. 5 minutes after the equalizer, Colombia won possession in midfield. Gustavo Puerta worked the ball forward to Díaz, who had drifted centrally inside the penalty area. Díaz took one touch to set himself, shaped his body, and drove a low shot toward the bottom corner. Yusupov got a hand to it, a strong hand, a desperate dive, but the ball deflected off his fingers and trickled, agonizingly slowly, across the goal line and into the net. Consider this from Yusupov's perspective for a moment. He makes contact, his body believes he has saved it, and then he watches the ball roll over the line anyway. That is the specific cruelty of this game, to do everything correctly and still concede. Colombia 2, Uzbekistan 1, and the lead was restored. But Uzbekistan would not lie down. They pushed forward again with genuine belief, and in the dying minutes of the match, a moment happened that the scoreline will never capture. Teenager Bekruz Karimov received the ball 30 yards from goal, looked up once, and hit a thunderous long-range strike, the kind of effort that silences a stadium mid-flight, that crashed into the crossbar, with Vargas completely and utterly beaten. The crossbar, not the post. The full width of the crossbar, that close, in the 90th minute of a World Cup match on debut. Colombia needed a third goal to close the game out, and they found it in the most dramatic fashion possible. Deep into 9 minutes of added time, substitute Cucho Hernández chased a ball down the right flank that looked dead, that every defender in yellow and blue had already given up on. He went to ground, he somehow got back up. He maintained possession through sheer force of will, then whipped a low cross hard across the face of goal. Jaminton Campaz, another substitute, arrived at the back post and headed it home. 3-1. The game was sealed. The final scoreline reads 3-1, comfortable on the surface. But this was not a comfortable night. This was a Colombia side that was genuinely troubled, genuinely tested, genuinely pushed to a place of discomfort by a debutante nation that had no right, by reputation, by history, by anything written before kickoff, to make them work this hard. Uzbekistan equalized. They hit the crossbar in injury time. They pressed a top 15 nation into errors and created chances that, on another night, might have changed everything. And Colombia, they have Luis Díaz. 1 goal, 1 assist, 1 post. A man-of-the-match performance that announced, loudly, clearly, to every nation watching this World Cup, that he is not here to stand in anyone's shadow. James Rodríguez is the captain. But on June 17, 2026, inside the Estadio Azteca, in the first match of Colombia's 2026 World Cup campaign, the story had one name on it. Colombia sit top of Group K, 3 points. Uzbekistan face Portugal next, Cristiano Ronaldo, in what may be one of his final World Cup appearances. And the road ahead is steep, but they came here, they played here, they scored here. And that first goal, Fayzullaev's header in the 60th minute of a World Cup match inside the Azteca, belongs to history now. No scoreline can take that away.